Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Make sure that you guys do click subscribe. Uh, just keep watching our channel because we want your views.
Everybody needs to
The
hear what
brain
we have
freeze
to
that
say.
happened like live, right? You know that thing? Live brain freeze right there.
Yep.
What you guys doing?
Good. Can't
Good,
complain. Well, I mean, we could always complain, right? But nobody's going to listen. So I just want it to stop snowing. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Well, you're getting it too, huh? So
yeah,
our temperature's finally warmed up a little bit. Now we just got a whole bunch of wind. So most of the snow is gone now, at least for now.
I'm done with winter. Done.
But is winter done with you? That's the big question.
Winter is done with me too, because it's kicking me out of the country in a week and a half for 2 weeks. So, well, actually, no, 10 days, close enough, whatever. I will be out of here in a week and a half or so. I am excited. I cannot wait to. I'm not a good flyer. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not good with airplanes. Okay. And I'm okay with them. I'm getting better, but they're not my favorite mode of transportation, to be honest. But I cannot wait to get onto an airplane right now. I can't even tell you how excited
The only thing I don't like about the airplanes is just how crowded they are, because I'm kind of a bigger guy. And so when I got to sit, especially if I get stuck in like one of those middle seats, I just feel very constricted. It's not good for anybody.
That's why you always pick your seats ahead of time and go, oh, look at nobody around me. At least you hope anyway. As much as possible. Yeah, I can't wait. What did Cody say? Ready to stop complaining about winter and ready to start complaining about summer. True. So true, right?
Well, that's because in Idaho, we don't, in Idaho, we don't really have spring or fall. We just go from sub-freezing temperatures to now we're cooking eggs on the sidewalks. So
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, we do too.
What's that?
We do too. We have, the nice, wonderful sub-zero and then plus 30 Celsius. Yeah, it's a lovely experience.
I wonder, I'm always interested to know what's it like to live in a state or a province where I don't know if there's too many. Maybe BC is a little bit like that, but it's mostly like, you're going to go outside and it's going to be hot. Like, that's it. Like, what's it like? Live in Jamaica. I'd be quite happy with that.
Really? I lived in the middle of the Amazon for a couple of years, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. Let me tell you. Especially if you don't have like a place with AC to walk into. It's just hot all the time. So.
Right, but it's humid too. The Amazon. That's a little
bit very, very humid.
Dry kind of. The humid hot is a little different than the dry hot. It's. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like summer. I hate summer. I really don't like summer. I'm more of a fall, even a winter, dare I say. But yeah, no, summer is not my favorite time of the year. I really don't like the sweat. And I don't like to see other people sweat either. The only time I like it is on a beach somewhere, like having a cocktail when I can say dos cervezas por favor. That's the only time I like summer. So.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm good with heat and hot, and I'm quite happy with all of it. Quite honestly, I'm not good with the cold at all. This is kind of so we're going to have a fun show tonight. I think we're going to be talking about our most interesting and funny stories that we can. And I know that we were all sort of probably racking our brains today to think of some of them. I know I was, and you're always thinking, I don't even know if that's really funny. It was funny at the time. Is it funny now? Well, whatever. But Lynda, do you have any? We'll start with you.
Well, I do have a couple of funnies, but I'll start with something really ridiculous and slapstick. Because, well, gosh, way back when, on one of her first investigations, this lovely friend of mine, and her name is Kathy, she came with us and we did this great investigation of this home. This lady was lovely and gave us the keys to her house. She was having some issues. We're talking way back. We're talking Montreal. I'm going to say 1982 or 83. And it was warm. It was hot. And she was wearing flip-flops. So poor Kathy, she had the misfortune of every time she moved, her flip-flops made a farting sound. So throughout all of So throughout any of our recordings on those old cassettes, all we heard was going around the and we kept saying, "Oh man, would you take the flip-flops off, for God's sake?"
Oh, that's awesome.
That's ridiculous. But it was like, really?
So we have that rule. We don't even allow open-toed shoes when we're investigating. We make sure that people, but you got to, even like a lot of tennis shoes will make squeaky noises and stuff like that, depending on the type of floor you're walking on. So, it does bring up a good point. When you're doing your investigations, take careful consideration of what you are wearing. So, and I made that rookie mistake when I first started. I had just a typical winter jacket, but it was nylon. So everywhere I was walking, swish, 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 and, so they counseled me on, things to, types of clothing to wear. And also, especially for the females out there, if you're using IR, don't wear silk. Or you're not going to get the evidence that you were thinking you're going to get. So,
right.
So for those that don't know, if you're an IR light and you're wearing silk, you may as not be wearing anything at all, because it just goes right through, and you can see everything underneath. So.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Somewhere out there's some guy that's in a lot of trouble right now because he's making the females wear silk on his investigation.
Right. Yeah, all of our brand shirts are all silk. I take care of my team. It's all silk. It's all the good stuff. You just know there's somebody doing that.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
That's hilarious. Do you have a story, Trev?
Sure. All right. So a lot of our stories revolve around certain investigations and things that happen during the investigations, but a lot of people don't see what's going on before the investigations, when we're getting ready and things like that. And a lot of our trips, we'll get out to our location and then we'll go hit up a convenience store. We'll get some snacks. We talked about the proper snack foods to get, in a previous show, but one of my investigators, we were checking out at this register, and there were a couple of jars of what he thought was beef jerky sitting up on the counter. And he's like, "Oh, cool, jerky." And I wasn't really paying attention. He grabbed one of these sticks of jerky and he starts eating it. And almost immediately his mouth, he's like, trying to get it off his tongue. And I look and I'm like, "Cody, those are dog treats." The gal at the register about fell over. She was laughing so hard. And what's even better about that story is that every time that because we go back there almost once a year, and she remembers us because of that. And she goes, "I tell everybody that story," so. And we love Cody to death. He's one of our favorite people, and but he is just not ever going to live that one down. So, sorry, Cody.
Here's the thing. One of the reasons I'm also laughing so hard is this is something I would fucking do. I know it. Like that would be 100% me in some point in time.
All I could think to do for Cody is offer him a Tic Tac, "Hey, buddy, right.
Oh no. Oh no.
So if anybody out there is wondering if bacon strips actually taste like bacon, they do not.
What he says, now it's Scooby Snacks.
Yeah, we get them Scooby Snacks when we go on vacation or on investigation sometimes now, just as a joke.
Oh no. What about you, Kathy?
Oh, so well, mine mine actually has to do with the weather. And it's one of those, like, at the time we were laughing, probably, at the end of it, we were laughing so hard, but it was also irritating as all out. But so what happened is we got this investigation. It was out of town, so it was like on an acreage. But this was quite a few years ago. So at the time, GPS wasn't like it is now, and also cell service wasn't all that top notch. It's probably about, I'm going to say, 12 years ago about. And so we're driving out there, and we have 2 carloads. So just simply because we had too many investigators and all of our equipment, right? And I had the van at the time, and so we're driving out there, and somehow we got lost from the other car. They were kind of ahead of us, and one of those people that, oh, I'm not going to pay any attention to the fact that you're behind me and you might want to follow me, that kind of stuff. So we're trying to find it, and we get sort of lost. And I am not a country road person. I have no freaking idea half the time. So we're trying to find them off of cell phones. Of course, you're getting really spotty service, and you're like, are you there? Are you there? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Kind of thing. We finally get there, which took about, I would say, a good half an hour, beyond the time that we were supposed to be there. We finally get there. Well, they have a driveway, which is ice from the road, and it's full of ice because it's the middle of winter, which nobody bothered to sand or clear. Well, the car got up there fine, like it got up there well enough. But my heavy van with all of the equipment and most of the people was like, and she'd go up, you're like, fuck, what are we doing? How are we going to do this, right? So the guy's like, blah, 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 making up some, whatever. And I said, well, do you guys have sand? Do you have cat litter or anything? No. You can just park on the street, he says. Yeah, I'm like on the road. I was like, first of all, this is a country road with no lights. So if anyone comes around, they're going to smash the back of my van. Like, they're not going to see the fact that I'm in the middle of the street here. And second of all, we've got a ton of equipment that I'm not walking over ice to try to up your driveway to try to get out, right? Like, we're not carrying all of this stuff. We got DVD or DVRs, screens, all kinds of stuff, right? We're not going to be doing this. So he's like, well, there's actually a back way. So you can go around the back way and you can probably come in that way. So we're like, okay, try to guide us through this. So we finally get around, and we go around, and again through back roads which have no freaking lights, and you have no idea where you're going, and it's winter and it's creepy as shit. We get around to the back, and we see this man standing there, and he's like, and we realize it's him, and he's like, oh, well, actually you can't go this way because there's a tree in the road. And at that point, because everything was so funny, we were actually cracking up so hard at this point. When by the time he said there's a tree in the middle of the road, we were laughing so hard I was literally crying. I just like it, the whole night was just like, I don't think we're supposed to be here. I don't think we're supposed to be here, because it would be so much easier if we were supposed to be here investigating. You know what I mean? And so we were like, look, you know what? It's your responsibility to do this, like to make sure your driveway's clear, to make sure that, our safety, blah, 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 blah. And we actually just packed up and went home and went for supper. Because I was like, by that point, I was like up to here. I was like, I was so frustrated because this guy it would not help whatsoever. Like, he wouldn't offer to, had no pics or, whatever. It was like, there was just no, whatever he was doing. But we were done. I was like, I'm sorry, but you clean this driveway, we'll come back. But the whole night was actually just so funny that we were laughing so hard, or at least I was, until the point where we literally got tears falling down your eyes. You're just like, I can't. This is just too ironic. I gotta go home.
Comedy of errors.
That's the way it goes sometimes, though, right?
Every time, it was like, okay, we can't find the place. We can't, it was just one thing after the next. And when you finally do get there, and you're like relieved after like this kind of experience on the road, it was on its way. I don't remember the exact location, but it was on the way to Athabasca, Lena. So I guess that's probably the best way to say it, like on the way to Boyle. If you know where that is. I'm sure you do if you're in Alberta. But yeah, so it was just a mess. I was like, okay, I'm done. Yeah, it's so done. Yeah. So anyway, how about you?
Well, go
Lynda's
for
turn.
Lynda knows what I'm talking about.
My turn?
Yeah.
That's your turn.
It's my turn. Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
your turn.
so I was thinking about some of the funny incidents that happen sometimes. And one of them I just thought was hilarious. And I'm sure that both of you and anybody out there who's a paranormal investigator can really identify with. So, you know how you sit around for hours and hours and hours and you listen to dead air and you listen to nothing and you watch nothing on a little camera, right? Video camera. So you're sitting there and you're watching screens for hours and hours and hours, trying desperately to see if there's any evidence. Well, so we had gone to do this great investigation, and the people who were living in this house said that the bedroom door of their daughter's room would bang shut. So we thought, okay, great. So we'll set up a video camera. And this camera was literally focused on this bedroom door. So we set it up on a tripod and it was filming the bedroom door the entire time that we were there. So we had, of course, lots and lots of audio to listen to and lots of video to watch. And there were 4 of us that were just in a room. We decided we're going to get together. We're all going to do this together because if one person misses something, the other person's going to get it. We have all this stuff, right? All right. So we're watching and we're all falling asleep because it was ridiculous. It was just dead air. I'm watching a door for like an hour and a half, just watching the door, right? So we're all sitting there and we're watching this door and watching this door and watching this door. And then all of a sudden, doesn't the goddamn door go smack? Well, if we were cats, we would have been on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Because it scared the absolute crap out of us. Because it happened like that. And we just went, ah, and literally screamed so loud that one of the husbands came running through the door, thought, oh my God, what the hell happened? But honestly, it happens sometimes when stuff happens. But seriously, you watch so much and nothing happens, or you listen to something and you can't hear a damn thing. And when something happens that's loud or out of the ordinary, it can scare the crap out of you. I really recommend Depends. I really do. I do.
Right?
I do. Has it ever happened to you, Trevor?
No, I don't get scared on investigations. What are you talking about? So no, it's but it's I did have a similar experience, and I actually talked about this I think on last show where we were doing that investigation. It was the same thing. We were staring at a set of doors, and for a very long time, and it was one of those nights where nothing was happening for the entire night, and then all of a sudden, boom! They just come flying open, and it was one of my investigators. It showed up, just bam, open up, and I'm falling out of my chair laughing, and everybody else is like, So, but every once in a while, it's so funny because everybody wants something to happen. We're all hoping something to happen. Everybody's expecting something to happen, and then it doesn't happen. and then it does, and it freaks everybody out. So it's pretty funny. So, well, I'm going to tell more of this. Okay, so we're talking about different types of like experiences, and not all are funny. And so this one, it was actually kind of, it was a personal experience that I had. So, and if everybody can understand, there's a difference between evidence and personal experiences. Evidence is something that I can show to you, you can listen to, you can see. Personal experiences is just something that happened to me. This is one of those. We were investigating it in Gooding. Kathy's going to be coming here to the States, and we're gonna take Cathy and Peter out to Gooding and do an investigation at this place at the old tuberculosis hospital. And I was up in the attic, and I was by myself. That's something we kind of started doing here a little bit, is kind of going off on our own, trying to see if we can get something to happen. And we always have cameras on us, so somebody's monitoring us at base. We're never like completely by ourselves. Excuse me. Anyway, so I'm kind of sitting up there, and I'm just talking and talking about just trying to get say, hey, we're I just want to see if you're here. I want to know your story, and I want to know your story because I want you to know that you're not forgotten. And I talked about how important I thought it was to remember those that came before us, to learn from those that came before us, and things like that. And I've heard of people that talk about being overcome emotionally. And I fully believe that spirits can convey emotion and that we can feel that emotion. But I was up in this attic that was more or less kind of cold, and I had all of a sudden just this overwhelming, warmest feeling that just enveloped my whole body. It was absolutely, it kind of took me aback. I wasn't expecting that. But it was like somebody came up and just gave me this biggest hug. And it was absolutely amazing. I've never had that experience before. I've been in locations where I've felt that cold energy or that kind of negative sense, but I've never been like, I've even been like physically poked or touched on stuff, but I've never had that type of emotional reaction from a spirit before. I thought that was pretty amazing. And Cathy, Lynda, have you ever had anything kind of, Cathy, I'm sure because you kind of have that gift.
I almost forgot about this until you mentioned what happened to you. And, oh my God. So this is, I don't think I was actually really part of the team at this point yet. I think I was still going to the meetings, and I would go out with them once in a while, kind of check out some local areas that we were allowed to go to, that sort of thing. I don't think at that point I was even really looking to be on the team. It was just more interesting for me. And, so anyway, we went out to this, again, it's kind of an acreage area. But at the time, there was the old, schoolhouses, and stuff like that. Right. And probably the schoolhouses that my dad would have gone to, like where all of the kids from, kindergarten to 12 are in the same type of room. And so it was that type of area, but no, it was very derelict at this point. It had been a school, and now by this point they were using it for storage, flour, that kind of thing. And anyway, we were in there, and I was just sitting there, and I hadn't really fully tapped into all of my gifts at this point, and I wasn't really even thinking about using my gifts while we were there. We were literally just there to do an investigation, and beyond that, hadn't really thought anything of it. So as I'm sitting there, it was probably one of my first times that I fully remember having like a straight on vision, I guess is the best way to say it. It was almost though I wasn't in that schoolhouse. I was in the schoolhouse, but like back in the day. And it was like things just sort of formed around me. And all of a sudden I saw this little boy, and he talked to me a little bit, just basically saying, that he missed his friends. He was there. He missed his parents, that sort of thing. And Now, according to the people that were there, the other investigators, apparently I was talking to somebody. I was like not paying any attention to anybody there. I was just having this conversation. But I tell you, I suddenly started crying, like something like this thing just pulled on my heartstrings so badly. But I have not cried like that in, I don't even know how long. Like even now I want to cry, just, going back into that emotion of that experience. And I cried so hard and for so long. And even when you calm down, you think you're done, the tears would start again. And it was just like constant bawling. I could not stop. And it was the most unreal experience. Like it was just blew me away. And at the time, but the funny thing is that you didn't really feel sad. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like you were, yes, your heart's being pulled on and you're feeling sad, at the moment, but it wasn't like, I don't know how to describe it. It was like your body couldn't stop crying, more so than it was your emotions. It was like a body experience more so than an emotional experience. Like I just could not stop. I guess it'd be having a case of the giggles where you can't stop. It's not so much that it's particularly funny, but I just could not stop crying. And, even an hour later, we were still like, I would still, Cody says it sounds like a spirit, like astral projection, which, and somebody else, Bree says that too. Oh no, that was for the other one. But yeah, it very well could have been something like that. As I never really gave it much thought afterwards, because I was still so new to really everything, even though I had been seeing visions and knowing things. And it's different when you start doing it, when you're not just at home or, whatever. Like it's a whole different experience when all of a sudden you're dealing with the paranormal, or it's not the same type of thing. It's different than being at a mall and feeling something, or being at a graveyard and seeing something. It's a different experience to all of a sudden be doing it in the paranormal realm. And, you're experiencing so many different things that you never even knew existed. But this, this reaction was just wow. And I don't remember ever crying that hard in my entire life, to be honest. Like it was just, I could not stop. And yeah, I mean, I didn't, people talk about crossing over ghosts and stuff like that. I'm not one for that. They can, that's somebody else's energy, if they want to do that. But at the same time, I kind of felt like the little boy had something to say and he wanted to say it and he felt better after, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can totally,
that's how I felt afterwards, and I think a lot of the emotion was either from him, experiencing not being able to be heard for so long, or something along that line, because I wasn't really getting, I guess the best way to, I wasn't really getting any, reasoning as to why I was bawling. Like I couldn't, there was no, why are you crying? I don't fucking know. I just can't stop, that was how it was. But yeah, so interesting. Yeah. Very, I actually, like I said, I really forgot about this, Trev. So thank you for bringing that up, because,
and it just kind of goes to, I mean, how much there's different levels of those gifts, I think, and I think everybody has those gifts to a certain extent where, it's just like anybody can go out and play basketball, pick up a ball and start throwing it at the hoop. But there's some people who are going to be who are gifted NBA players, and there's some of us that takes a little bit longer to learn. But what was cool about, your experience and my experience for sure is like, it was a strong validation to me.
Yeah.
That there was something there, because that's not something that I would normally feel or make up. I've been a firefighter and a paramedic for almost 30 years. I have my walls built up, I keep my emotions pretty well in check, and, I can separate that stuff. But boy, I tell you, in that moment though, I wasn't brought to tears or anything, because it was just a very comforting, like, hey, yeah, thank you. We are here type feeling. And it was like this feeling of appreciation, like just somebody just came and gave me this big hug, and it was pretty amazing. So Lynda, have you ever had an experience like that?
I've had kind of an experience like that. With me, I mean, how people always say, oh yeah, well, pets, I mean, pets, there's no afterlife for pets, right? Oh yeah, they just die and whatever. I mean, no, that's not true. I had gone on an investigation. It was quite a while ago. And the team was putting tape recorders in different rooms of the house. And I was tasked with going upstairs and putting a tape recorder in, like, it was sort of an art studio in like an attic space. And so I walked up the stairs, and I'm pretty sensitive, but this one kind of blew me away because I went up, I put the tape recorder up on a desk, and I stood there because it felt as if there was like an electrical charge in the air. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to stand here and see what happens, because I feel that something is here, but I didn't know what it was. And just at that moment, I was standing there and I felt a cat go through my legs and rub up against the side of my calf. And I thought, okay. And I just stood there. And I thought, well, that's really odd. And then it happened again. And I felt that there was this cat who happened to be up there, who was obviously very pleased to see me. I don't know, I just felt that. And I started to tear up, and I thought, well, this is an interesting experience. Put that in my back pocket, went down, told everybody about it. And then, of course, we went on our merry way and did the investigation. It didn't happen again that night. But later on, when we were talking to the homeowner, she said that she had lived there for quite a long time, and the house had a fire, and she lost her cat in the fire. And I just about lost it. And she said, you know, the cat used to keep me company in my art studio. And I just burst into tears. And I told her what happened. And she said, thank you, because it does happen sometimes where I'll just be sitting and working and I can feel the cat rub against my leg. So to all of those people who, you know, think, well, no, pets, they don't have a spirit, they don't have a soul. Well, I beg to differ, because that was a hugely profound experience for me.
Oh, absolutely. And Cody says here, animals do have souls like us, for sure. Absolutely, they do.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, they do.
Yeah, I fully believe that. Absolutely.
Yeah, Cody made mention of that, the cat at Sumter, and the very first experience I ever had at the Sumter Bed and Breakfast, which I don't know if everybody's familiar with the TV show Ghost Mine. That's where they stayed and they did a lot of their filming out there. And I was talking to the owner, one of the owners, Barb. She had her little podium there with her guest book, and we were checking in. And I was wearing shorts that day because it's summertime and Sumter's warm. And I knew nothing about the claims there and what had been going on. I went in completely blind. I never watched the TV show, so I had no idea. You know, I'm standing there. It was the same thing, Lynda. I felt a cat rub up against my leg, just like they do, you know, and I kind of like, oh, there's a cat. And I looked down and there's nothing there. And I'm like, no, I know what a cat feels like. That was a cat. And so right there, I asked Barb, I said, did you have a cat? And she looked at me kind of funny. She goes, well, we used to, but it died a couple of years ago. And I kind of went, yeah,
you
sure might still be around. So, but yeah, and we've had, you know, we've actually heard the cat. We caught it on video or on recorder, I believe. We've even caught like a weird EMF field that was on the table, kind of moving around, that was roughly cat size. I mean, you'd move it and you'd get the reading and you'd move it away and it would go away. And it was kind of interesting. So every year we go there, one of my daughters comes with me, and she's always trying to interact with that cat. She actually got it to meow one time. So
Oh,
That
wow.
is so cool. That is
Mm-hmm.
so cool. And you caught the meow?
I believe we did. Yeah. So
Awesome. Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm going
Wow.
to tell a funny one. I'm actually going to go, I'm going to go into the funny area.
yeah, none of the serious crap.
Well, I've got a couple serious, but I'm going to go into the funny area just for a second. So we did, I think this was more shocking than it was, I guess, funny. But we did, so we were called to this apartment, and none of us really like doing apartments because they're hard to do. Like you can't really verify anything simply because there's so much noise going on in an apartment, condo, that sort of thing. Anyhow, right? Like that pretty much all of your evidence is pretty, going to be crap unless you actually see something with your bare eyes or whatever. But we decided we were going to set up cameras anyway, and this young couple were complaining about some stuff going on, and I should have been more aware. I think sometimes you look back and you see where you messed up, and or you could have seen the signs of something and you were like, oh, how did, like, what was I thinking? Or like, what was I not thinking? And the husband, the seemed to text an awful lot. Like, went on, like, some days, he went on about his life and all kinds of crap, and you're just like, okay, whatever. Anyway, like, you're not really responding because you got other shit to do. You're working, and you're like, oh, that sucks. That's too bad. Like, like, what do you say? Like, I kind of just put it off as to, this experience must be really hard for the both of them. That's kind of where I put it. And then I should have looked back later and went, the hell, but anyway, we set up cameras in this small apartment, and they didn't really have a bedroom. It was more like a living room. That it was like a bachelor suite, so they had the small kitchen, the living room, bedroom, all sort of connected together. So we did put cameras around, and of course, we warned them, like, maybe don't fool around tonight, that kind of thing, jokingly, whatever. Anyway, so a few days later, we have the team, and we're all sitting in my living room watching, the video. And there, at some point in the middle of the night, the husband decided to get up and do a strip tease for the camera. We were like, the hell is this?
Oh, no.
As soon as we saw the whole shirt, we were like, shut it off.
Oh, no.
And then we got one of our male, investigators to kind of fast forward, through it, because we don't want to. I mean, there's a lot of legal implications with this shit too. Like, there could be legal issues, like all kinds of stuff, right? And so we were like, oh my God. And that's when I realized, oh yeah, well, the overabundance of text messages, apparently there was some sort of underlying thing that I wasn't apparently catching on to. Like, right over my head. But yeah, and then, so we thought, okay, let's just sit on this for a day or two. Because we got to figure out a way to just politely hand them back the tape. You know what I mean? Like, because we don't want anything to do with this. We don't want to be holding this thing, in my house. I don't want anything to do with it. We'll give it back to him. And, so we're trying to figure everything out. And then, he messages, hey, did you guys catch anything on evidence? I'm like, yep.
Nothing worth mentioning.
Yeah. I said our male investigators had a really interesting view of the evidence that was going on, and no response. None. Because I think he thought that it was going to be, me and like the lady that I had gone with, like the other female investigator. I don't think he even realized that we had males on our team. It was funny. So yeah, that was that. And we did get one of the males to go to the apartment and hand him the tape and say, okay, we're out of here. We're done. So
what now here's the dilemma, right? So he's doing his little dance and it triggers something paranormal. Now you have a full body apparition in the camera as well.
That's
what do you do
to deal with, though.
So we have, because we have people sign that stuff away to us. Like, we own whatever we catch, that's ours, and they agree that we can.
Right.
And I explain to people, we're very discreet. We're not going to show anything inappropriate. We're not going to, show anything. Yeah. But however, if we catch a Casper and you happen to be in camera, you're going to be famous. So it's just the way it is. So, yeah.
I think if his apartment is haunted, I think there's a lot of reasons as to why it was haunted. And that might be a ghost that he just has to bear in some form of his own.
You had to use the word bear. Yeah.
Right. He was just trying to create full moon energy. He was trying to, yes, full moon. Absolutely. Absolutely. There was some mooning going on there.
Oh my God. That's funny.
Oh yeah. We were, as soon as we saw this, so it was just like, oh shit. Like, okay, we're done. Shut it off. We're done.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Good grief. I've never had anybody do that to me. Thank goodness. But I probably would have reacted a different way. I'd probably call up and be like, so you want us to put this on Facebook or what? What's going on here? So
if social media had been as popular as it is now, we would have I would have blocked out that guy's face and stuck it up there. No, I don't know. I don't think I actually would have. I think that there's still legal issues, that you have to deal with and all of that stuff. So I don't think I'd want any part of it, but it'd be a thought.
Definitely at least a temptation for sure.
Yeah. It's like, you creeper,
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty gross.
That's hilarious. Oh my God, Kathy, that's weird. But one of the funniest things I think that ever happened to me during a preliminary was somebody had reached out to me, this older lady who bought this house, and said to me, well, I don't know, like, my husband and I are elderly. I think I might have told you this before, but this killed me. My husband and I are kind of elderly, and we bought this house, and we're not like rabbits or anything. And I said, okay. And she said, well, we're just but ever since we moved into this house, we've been more amorous for some strange reason. And it's only in the master bedroom area. And I'm thinking, why am I even talking to this lady? And she said, well, it's just that it's a weird feeling. There's a feeling in here. And I don't know. And it's like, I don't know. It's a little sort of, amorous. And I'm thinking it might be paranormal. And I'm thinking, well, all right. And did anything ever happen in this house? Well, no. It's just that every time we go into that particular area, it's like all of a sudden, we're very amorous and we're elderly, and this isn't supposed to be happening. And maybe you can come over because this has never happened to us. And I'm thinking, this has got to be exciting. Okay, what the hell? So I pick up my stuff. I make an appointment with her to come over, and I get there. I pull up in the driveway. It's a beautiful house. And they hadn't been living there long, obviously. So I'm ringing the doorbell. Now, normally when you ring a doorbell, you hear the doorbell on the inside, but I wasn't hearing the doorbell. But I thought, well, it's a relatively large home, so maybe it's piped in somewhere else, and I don't know. So, of course, I'm not getting an answer. So I start knocking on the door, still don't get an answer. I'm ringing the doorbell. Meanwhile, the neighbor pulls in, and she gets out of her car, and it was like something, honestly, it was something like out of a Benny Hill skit again, because she got out of the car and she's going, oh, no, the doorbell doesn't work. And I'm, okay, but do you watch? And she doesn't know me from Adam, right? But she said, do you know why the doorbell doesn't work? And I said, no, but I'm sure you're going to tell me. So she says, well, the gentleman that used to live there, he was kind of like a playboy. And he disconnected the doorbell because the doorbell would intervene when he was, having fun with these, might I say, younger women. So she's telling me all of this, right? So I said, oh, okay, thank you very much. And then she goes, bye, have a nice day. And she leaves. Okay. So meanwhile, I'm banging on the door. And finally, after like 10 minutes, this nice elderly lady opens the door, invites me in. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have told you the doorbell's broken. So I said, it's okay. I know the doorbell's broken because the neighbor next door told me. And she said, she says, well, I haven't talked to the neighbor next door. I said, oh, really? Well, you should, because she has some information that I think you might want to know. And it turns out, of course, I'll go upstairs. The whole place is like, they try to conceal things. But I mean, the whole place looked like a bordello, like the walls with a strange color. He had one of those really cool bathtubs, with all the jets, and it was like it was incredible. So I said to her, well, so do you know anything about the gentleman who used to live here? So she said, well, apparently he had a heart attack in the bedroom. And I said, oh, did he now? So what I'm thinking is, I tell her, of course, what happened. I said, you really need to talk to the lady next door. So apparently, yes, he did pass in the bedroom. And yes, he was kind of like a playboy. And he did entertain younger women. But apparently, he passed away in, shall we say, interesting circumstance.
And what you're saying is he died with a smile on his face?
Yeah, he came and went at the same time. So it was one of those experiences. It was really interesting. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm standing in this bedroom with this elderly couple. And I'm saying, well, when you join the dots, it kind of makes sense. So maybe we just need to tell him to move on because he's no longer alive, and maybe he doesn't know he's alive anymore. It was freaking hilarious. That was probably one of the funniest things I've ever experienced as a paranormal investigator.
I know how you get through that with a straight face the whole time, though. I mean, it's so hard. Oh my goodness, you bite your lip the whole time, just like, oh my goodness.
It was hilarious. I'm thinking, oh my God, in my own town too. Anyway, won't go there.
Small town aren't that innocent, Lynda.
Right? No kidding. Bow chicka bow wow. This is.
I don't even know how to follow that one up. That's pretty good. So, all right. So, Kathy, you talked a little bit about stuff that happens on camera. So, whenever we do investigations, especially if we're doing like a public investigation, people who have never done it before, we always have to remind them that everything that they say, everything that they do, everywhere they go is being recorded. Actually, I just thought of another story too. But anyway, even seasoned investigators will oftentimes forget. Especially if you're out on a very long investigation, you just kind of get comfortable just doing what you do because we do it a lot. We're not super nervous about what we're doing, and sometimes we get a little too comfortable. Anyway, and just so everybody knows, I already asked permission from the person that's in this video because I didn't want to embarrass him. But I tagged this as a demonic growl for everybody that was reviewing this. And told them they needed to turn their volume up so they could hear. So everybody take a moment, turn your volume up, make sure you're going to be able to hear this. Okay. So this is a good learning moment though. So go ahead, Kathy.
I think that was Cody.
I still think that's bloody talented.
Now, the important thing to take away from this is that he tagged it. Okay, he owned it as well. He should, because that was pretty damn impressive. And I mean, the posturing alone. I mean, he had good form on the posture. He got it all out, done. And but he tagged it, so everybody knew that it was him. It wasn't a demon after all. We probably have to play that again in case anybody missed it.
I think so, just in case anyone.
Yeah.
I think that was Cody.
It's funny every time.
He has such a straight back while he's doing this too.
I know, he didn't pull any muscles when he did it.
I'm impressed. I am impressed. I'm not. Bree says I was all braced up to hear something scary. Okay, but you can take that as, take it as it is. It could be scary.
Because on the other side of the house, somebody's going, "Do you smell something?" So,
I think that's awesome.
But what it reminded me of was with another investigation. We're talking about like everywhere you go, and everything you do, is being recorded. Well, except the bathrooms, clearly, right?
Yeah.
Except if you forget that you have a recorder in your pocket and you go into the bathroom.
Yep.
That happened. Not to me. It wasn't me. So, but one of my other investigators kept it in his pocket, and we all got to listen to it. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, and we are professional investigators, folks. So,
yeah.
The stuff that doesn't make the cut, right? So
I think this is good. This is good reminders for when you're in Gooding. Because who knows, we might just go live while we're down there, like investigate live. I think these are things to put into a suitcase, the mind suitcase, and keep them there in case of emergency or something.
Well, and again, I mean, it is hilarious, until it is live, right? Because we'll post on Facebook Live during a lot of our investigations, and sometimes we don't know when somebody's on there, and you really gotta watch yourself. So I mean, we try to be professional. We mind our P's and Q's and just do our thing. But I mean, every once in a while, just weird stuff like that's going to happen. Just gotta roll with it, I guess. So
that's funny. Oh my God. Well, it just is a reminder to people that are watching, I mean, it's not what you think. I mean, TV investigations are certainly not what happens in real life.
And sometimes we're there, like we've talked about, for a very, very long time, and we get very, very tired, and we don't quite realize exactly what it is that we're doing, because we might be operating off of just lots of coffee and super exhausted after sitting there, in the dark or setting up, or we're exhausted at the end. And you have incidents where we were all set up at this one place. We all had our walkie-talkies, and I was watching the investigators. I had somebody with me, and I was exhausted. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. I was just like ready to, I could feel my head nodding, you know what I mean? And, you see people in the one room there, and I saw something out of the corner, like in the corner of the room on the screen that I'm watching, because I'm at base watching on the screen. And I see something, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I said, you guys, hey, there's something in the corner there. And they're like, what are you talking? Where? And I point to the screen. I'm touching the screen going, right there.
Why can't you see it? It's right there. It's right there.
I'm pointing on the screen. guy at base camp just looks at me. He's like, "Did you really just point at the screen?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm like,
oh my God. And the more tired you get, the funnier everything is. You know that.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even the stupidest thing. I mean, that was pretty dumb, but they're all looking at their watch. You can see them, right? And I'm like, they're like, what is she talking about? They're not. What is she talking
Right
about?
over there.
Right over there. You see it? It's right there in the corner.
Oh my God.
That's great.
There are just times where it's time for bed and you're done.
It's true. It's true. So true.
Thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for being here, everybody watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Click like, click, catch us on Facebook on the I Want to Believe channel Facebook page. And guys, you, Trevor, Lynda, you guys have a great week.
You too.
You too.
Okay. We'll be back next week. I don't know exactly what we're doing. We may have a guest. We'll have to see. But thanks, everyone. Bye. Let's see.